you doing, folks? This is Mitch from HARDINTENTIONS YouTube channel. We also have HARDINTENTIONS.com where we have some really cool stuff. Shirts, hats, art. Check us out. You might find something you like.
But if you've seen through my life, I dodged that bullet a couple of times and I should have known better. You know what I mean? Yeah. I shouldn't have been doing all that stuff, but that's the addiction, and the thinking it's all exciting and, that you're having fun. And like what you say, Mitch, if it's not fun anymore and you're not making money, then it's time to quit. And I should have seen that. But, not making an excuse, when my father passed away, it really, I was in a bad, dark place, Yeah, because, he's my old man. I really looked up to. I had a lot of respect for him. And so went there, and then because with 22 months, you normally go to minimum, but they sent me to McNeil. It's a medium. And
I've heard of McNeil Island.
They closed it down now. They got people confuse it. There's a McNeil Island. It was a federal pen before. And then on the other side of the island, they got a sex offenders program there, which is still going to this day. Wow. And what they do is they weed people in that are waiting for that. They weed them into mainline while they're waiting to go to that program. And then there was guys there that's all they were doing is trying to find those guys. You know what I mean? They were like bounty hunter dudes, in there. And that was pretty tricky there, when I got there. Got onto the unit and everything like that. And then people are pushing up couple, my own race. And I'm just tripping on that. You know what I mean? My own race. They see my paperwork, you know what I mean? And all that. But then I got a little tobacco thing going there with a black guy. Was getting visits because I got a job in the chapel. I was the janitor, cleaner, and then clerk. Yeah. After a while, I was still the janitor, but like a couple hours a day, I would be the clerk guy. Yeah. So we figured out a way to get, from there to get tobacco, and then I hustled up a free staff to get cans of like Top and Bugler, but they take it out of the can and vacuum pack it and all that. So because it's an island, yeah, and because when I went there, I had nothing. You know what I mean? That whole thing, I went from hero to zero financially. It was just, yeah. You know what I mean? They took the house, they took everything. And so these guys are pushing up on me like a skinhead gang thing or whatever, they're coming and bothering me, you know what I mean? And I had a little tiny Sally, man, but I tell you what, he was a down little mother, you know what I mean? I was really proud of him. Yeah.
How old were you?
I was, then the first time I went to prison, I was 31. Yeah. And then when I finished all the federal stuff and whatever, I was about 34 or 35. Now I was 41, 42. Yeah. I was 41, 42.
So these guys are pushing up on you.
Pushing up on me. Yeah.
Good deal.
Just, because they knew we were doing something, they wanted in on it, all that kind of stuff. So there you got your own key, like it's guard towers and everything like that, but you got a key for your room.
Right.
So had the door open or whatever, and they're coming, they called it a drive-by. They came up on a drive-by, and three of them, and try to be, all this in a bag of chips or whatever, trying to press up on me or whatever. And I cracked up because my little Sally from the top bunk, he was only like about 5'2", maybe 110 pounds. He jumps up, you know what I mean? And I thought, cool, man. But pushing up with me. So what I did is the one that was in the middle, I had the door like this. I grabbed him, brought him in with me. Boom. And went to town on him. Went to the hole right away. Yeah. Because it's not cool. It's not cool.
Not cool.
Not cool to do that. You know what I mean? And then, they were just kind of eyeing me up on that time. The, Southsiders, all them guys, man, they were just cool. Black guys were cool. Nobody was tripping on me. They were calling me old school. You know what I mean? Yeah. Old school. Because the way you carry yourself.
Right.
I didn't bother nobody, but I was trying to come up. I didn't have any money. So I got a little hustle for some tobacco to get some fucking soups and some fucking coffee. And so went to the hole, and their guy with the keys to the yard was in there, and it's part of his crew. And, he's asking me what's happening with the kites and all that. And I said, hey, they're pushing up on me. It's not fucking cool. You know what I mean? And he's like, I ended up saying to him, hey, man, I can get in there with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can come with you. I can come in there with you. I'll get a hold of the guard, the CO, and I can come in there with you. And he was like, oh, no. Together. I'll sell up with you, you know what I mean? And because he was just trying to play the hardball with me. And then he ended up, because I only think I did about 20 days, lost a good time in the hole for that. Yeah. I didn't do him too bad. You know what I mean? It wasn't as violent as I had been, you know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. But his buddies were, hey, they got the attraction of the police banging on the door. Hey, they're fucking up my homeboy. You know what I mean?
Fighting, when I used to self-fight, my favorite thing was to get them like by the back of the head and the front of the throat. Smash into the wall, smash their forehead into that concrete wall. That was my favorite, self-fighting thing. That's,
Yeah. Well, I didn't do that. Yeah, I had done that before. Got people, and put the boots to them between the toilets before, and at Oshkosh, they had a toilet behind the guard. The guards were like here at the little podium, and then they had a communal bathroom, and they had like little slits of glass they could look through and see you. I had a couple SA dudes. I think they were Puerto Rican brothers. The younger one was really tall and the older one was really short, but they were both giving me grief. Well, I seen the older one go in there, and I was like, hey, we went in there and I got him. I got him good. You know what I mean? I ended up getting like 72 days in the hole for that one, because I got him between the toilets and put the boots to him. And it was state boots. I put the state boots right to him, But
after you fuck this dude up, you go to the hole.
I go to the hole.
Back out of the hole, right?
I get a kite from him to bring back to say, Pete's good.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Pete's good, because I said, hey, man, I just, I told him what's going on, man. I said, I'm getting fucking deported. You know what I mean? And told him a little bit about, my history, because you're in the hole, So we're talking through the door and all that kind of stuff, and through kites. And once I had said, hey, man, I'll come sell up with you. And he was like, nah, you're all right. You know what I mean? He says, this fucking guy's down,
He beat on himself.
You know what I mean? This guy's down, So then I go back to the block or whatever. Nobody had gotten my room with my cellie, and I came in there and I shared everything because he didn't have nothing neither, and I collected because I had a bunch of cigs out there that people had to pay me. So came up really quick, soups and zooms and all that kind of stuff. And I shared every little thing I had with my cellie because he did that. He jumped off that bunk with them 3 dudes standing at my door, and he was 110 pounds dripping wet, man. I hugged him. When I got out of the hole, I grabbed him like this and I said, you're a good one. You know, thank you, man. Yeah, I know you're a down little motherfucker, you know what I mean, right? Yeah, he had my back, you know, even though it was bad odds. And I was thinking to myself, man, we shouldn't be my own race. That was the thing that was really bothering me. So then I go back to the block or whatever, we're trying to do business, and these guys are still like, I don't know, sleeking around or whatever, you know what I mean? Trying to get in, trying to find out what's going on, you know what I mean? That's what I think. And so what I did is, you're going to laugh at this, I started calling them the Dirty Underwear Gang. Right? Out loud.
Yeah.
On the tier. Yeah. Totally disrespecting these guys.
Yeah.
Because I had enough, you know what I mean? Because they were like weaker dudes. They were rushing up on our own people, but I didn't want anything to do with that or getting involved in all that or whatever. I just basically said, I'm looking after my cellie. That's my only responsibility is looking after my cellie, Jim. That's it.
You know, if other guys don't stand up for themselves, it's hard to stand up for them, you know?
Well, that's it. I've done it before, and it got me in a lot of bother when I was a kid, you know what I mean? Because white guys wouldn't stand up for themselves. But I threw down with some essays before in Central, though, for homeboys from 18 and that, you know what I mean? Because, you know, they were getting jumped, and I wasn't, you know, it wasn't right, you know what I mean? But I started calling them the Dirty Underwear Gang right in the right in the block, you know, and people were just laughing, and they became a joke. There was 3 of them, you know, Daryl, and Daryl, you know, and I took their juice, but then I started getting kites from the guy in the back telling me, don't keep calling them the Dirty Underwear Gang, you know, from the shot, you know, the guy who had the key.
I mean, he could have moved you in the cell and handled that, you know, and he peed. So
then I said, well, I'll catch a one-on-one. I'll get them all. You know what I mean? I could do a one-on-one with them all because they're raising havoc. They're drawing a bunch of heat into the block. You know what I mean? Because they were doing so much terror shit and drugs and whatever they were doing, I could clearly see they were up to no good. You know, we were in the shadows, all the stuff we were doing, all nice and quiet, and you know, everybody's just going to work. And then my homeboy Stymie shows up from from Marvel Mount. He got hooked up and he ended up going to Walla Walla. He's a Sereno guy or whatever, you know, good kid, you know what I mean? Good. He was about 10 years younger than me. And then the guy showed up who was my plug in Mount Vernon from down south, Pisa. And he showed up, but on a coke thing. And I schooled him about doing his appeal so he didn't get deported. So, and I paid some tobacco and some coffee and got the guy in the law library to do his appeal for him because I looked at his paperwork. They didn't say, if you plead guilty to this, you could be deported. Right. So I said, by the time your appeal comes through, you'll be out, because he only got a couple years. So he did that, and he was like, and then what I had going there is I had all the Pisces and everything were all cool. Serenos were all cool. The blacks were cool because I was in business with them, and I had it made for just being able to live reasonably comfortable in there with imminent doom that I'm going to get deported. And looking up all the federal laws, all that, I tried to put a PRP and tried to do it again to say they didn't, because they didn't say on this time you could be deported on the court paperwork. They didn't do that again. And you're not going to get that a second time. I got lucky with it when it was in Wisconsin, but this time they denied it all the way right through. You know what I mean? So, finish my sentence, all that. Well, I ran into Stymie and all that because I was the clerk, and they used to give people birthday cards, I love you cards, the chapel. It was a multicultural chapel.
Right, right.
You know, all the different faiths.
They got
So
one little room for all the religions.
yeah, but it was pretty big. It was a pretty, yeah, it was nice facility
to go in there.
Yeah, they had the Odin guys. Guys would do sweat lodge, the native guys.
Way out here with the new prisons.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool. And my counselor got me that. But in between there, I get called to my counselor, and I had before I went to the Navy, I got a girl pregnant, and she had twins. And it's my boy and girl now, and they're 40 years old, and I have the best relationship with them. They finally had tracked me down after all these years in McNeil. My wife now, who was in Cudahy too, she lived about a mile up Clara Street, closer to Atlantic. Her brother was a terror. I mean, he was a bad dude for a white boy. Her brother, Danny, he got murdered by that freeway killer.
Really?
Yeah, him and his buddy. And then I also had, do you remember years and years ago, a couple kids at Bell Gardens Park, Ford Park, got their throats cut from ear to ear. Those were my friends. Those were our friends. So that was traumatic. Do you know what I mean? When I was a kid. But so then finished off the term there, and I was like, what's going to happen but Stymie came, I seen him on the list for cards. And then I seen the guy who was the plug, you know, my connect. So then I was like really cool. And I helped Stymie out, and I gave him the tobacco thing and all that, because he was fixing to go to Walla Walla. You know, that's like the pen there. That's a bad penitentiary there, Walla Walla.
Yeah, Walla Walla, yeah.
Yeah, it's a bad place. I'm glad I never had to go there. So then I go to Tacoma to immigration. They come and get me. I go with about 10 paisas that were all actually in my unit, my area, and they're all going. So, you know, we go to Tacoma to the Federal Immigration Detention Center, finished my sentence, and we go there, and I had gotten a passport because I was planning on at some point going over to Scotland to see my kinfolk. You know what I mean? So I had got a British passport. But anyway, with my kids, they phoned my counselor, and then we got all that going. You know what I mean? We got that all going. I married her. She came over here to the UK. She said, you're not getting away that fast. You know what I mean? We've been married on the 24th of August, we're married 15 years, me and my wife, Virginia.
Awesome.
Ginny.
Awesome.
She's a tough little girl. She's about 90 pounds, but she was tough. Living in Cudahy, you know what I mean? How weird is that, you know? And my son's doing good. My daughter's in New Mexico. We got grandkids and great grandkids. My granddaughter had a boy, half Native American, half Scottish and French, I think now, or whatever. So Almo is his name. So yeah.
Deported.
So I go there and basically get deported. I call my mother, my wife takes my daughter, and they go pick my mother up because it was the last time I ever seen my mother. and they get a contact visit for me at the detention center. Because I went to court and everything like that, and I had really, because I'd been in the Navy and this, that, and the next thing, that I would be considered a U.S. national, even though I didn't take my citizenship. I could have fought it and maybe stayed. But then I did some praying when I was at McNeil. What am I going to do? This is no good. You know what I mean? This kind of life, you know, I'm 42 years old now, and this is ridiculous. My father would be turning in his grave if he seen me, what's happening to me now. And now I'm not able to take care of my mom because I'm going to get deported. So I settled in my mind to say, whatever happens, I'm going to run with it. And I'm not going to use anymore. I got on my hands and knees and prayed in the chapel and at McNeil Island and said, Lord, what do you want me? This is enough. I've had enough. You know, I keep getting into trouble, and I keep, you know, now I got to really look after my mother. You know what I mean? Because she's getting elder and she lost her husband. So they come, my daughter comes, and my wife now, she brings them all. And, you know, this is the last time I seen my mother alive, you know, because she passed away about maybe 8 years ago, 9 years ago now. And I couldn't even go to the funeral, but, you know, I got to talk to her on the phone. And she says, and you know, she's happy, she's proud. I know they're proud of me now, both the parents. So my brother, he meets me at, you know, they take me, because what I did is I signed voluntary removal. Instead of going through and having a judge say you're deported, I pulled a maneuver and did a voluntary removal. So next year we're going, renting a motorhome in Utah, going and seeing my sister, going and seeing my daughter, going to the Grand Canyon, going to California to see my son, maybe have lunch with you, me and my missus. We're going to rent a motorhome, you and your missus, you know what I mean? April 2022, I'm getting it's like not a waiver, but it's like, you know, as long as you produce, I've not been in any trouble, you know, I'm clean as a whistle.
Get a pass.
Yeah, like a pass. It's 360 pounds, you know what I mean, to get it.
So
yeah.
You got back to
my brother.
Did you go to England or Scotland or where?
I went to England. My brother met me at Heathrow. My brother flew from Santa Barbara and he met me because, you know, I didn't know anybody. We went, got a backpack and a sleeping bag, and we went to Torquay. It's called the British Riviera. So it's like a really touristy, right by the beach, really, really nice. And there's a backpackers hostel. So, and then he's taking me to meet, he stayed with me for about 4 or 5 days, going to meetings, you know, AA meetings, NA meetings, all that, hooked me up at the backpackers. You know, my mother had gotten me, when I was 3, got me a national insurance number. So I was able to get that so that you can work. Plus I had a British passport and all that. So, but it took me a minute, and I ended up, I had to really, really be humble. I ended up getting a job as a cleaner at the Torquay Marina. All these big fancy boats, the people are filthy rich, cleaning all the toilets and the car park. And I go 3 times a day, 7 days a week during the summertime. My brother left and he said to me, he said, he gave me like £100 and paid my rent at the backpackers hostel or whatever for a couple of weeks. And he said, if you're calling me 2-3 weeks from now and you ain't got, you know, and you're not, you know what I mean, and you're looking for money and you ain't doing what you're supposed to be doing, I'll know, you know. And that's stuck in with me because we're tight, me and my brother, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's a year older than me. He never got in trouble, never went to prison. He always did the right thing. He'd gotten some trouble when we were kids. He just never got caught,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah. He's a good bro. You know, he's a good brother to go do all that for me.
So
Because I didn't know anybody.
how long
I didn't know
have you been out?
anybody.
How long have you been out?
15 years, 16 years now. Yeah. Yeah.
And so you got that job as a cleaner. You still have that same job?
No, I got that with the guy, Mark. And then what happened there is he said, hey, I got this shopping center here to do the floors and all the public toilets. So I said, I'll take that too. That was 7 days a week, once a day. So I'd go 3 times a day to the marina in the summer, you know, like 3 o'clock in the morning, then like 1 o'clock, and then like 6 o'clock. And then I'd do the shopping center after I did the 3 o'clock one, buff all the floors. It had a big, it was called the pavilion, and do all the public toilets. I had to humble myself, you know.
The girl went over there with you?
She came later. She came for a visit. Once I got sorted, yeah. Once I got sorted and up the road from there, right on the beachfront, there's a Princess Theater. I seen an advert. They wanted a supervisor to clean the theater. So I went to the interview, but I could have did a lot better, quicker, but I had, with the meth use, I had lost the 2 front teeth.
Yeah.
So I couldn't do waitering, or I had went to try to get a job as a caretaker for a hotel, fixing things and all that. And I, you know, it would have been a good job for me. I might have liked it, but
Yeah.
I ended up, that was the job I got, cleaning toilets, cleaning the showers. I had to humble myself,
Yeah.
you know? And so then I got the supervisor job at the theater. So I was doing all 3, and Virginia came out on a holiday. She worked for Amtrak.
All right.
For 20 something years, she worked for Amtrak.
Yeah.
She came out for a holiday for 8 or 9 days. I bought a BMW, and she came out, and what I did is I wasn't at the Backpackers anymore. I had gotten a bed and breakfast that they gave me a room that had an ensuite plus cooking facilities, and it was like 100 pounds a week, you know? So I had that, and I was making really good money between the 3 jobs. And the guy that gave me the job for the supervisor job at the theater had a big cleaning company, you know, massive cleaning company.
Yeah.
So he kept asking me, yay, because I got it all in shape, you know, had a lot of Polish guys and all that were, you know, cleaning these theaters, you know, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And he kept asking me, hey, want to be a manager? You want to be a manager? And I was like, no, I'm happy doing this, what I'm doing, you know?
Yeah.
And eventually I did become a manager, worked with him for about 2 or 3 years. Then got made redundant because he lost a big contract. And when I was on that contract, I met a Scottish lady because I used to fly to Scotland to go to all the theaters and do cleaning audits, suit and tie, go in there with the Live Nation. You go with the manager of the theater and the manager from the cleaning company, and you do cleaning audits. That has to be once a month. You need to do it. So I used to go to London, used to go to Scotland, you know, it was pretty cool, you know, and I went up in that company pretty good. I went from being a supervisor to an operations manager, and, you know, company car, the lot. And the thing is I've been vetted and I come up clean because I've got a national insurance number, like a social security number. and it's been clean. It's like I never left
Yeah.
Scotland.
Yeah.
So when I rocked back up at 42 and went into the job center to sign on and everything, to get a job and everything, they give you money while you're waiting to go find a job. They give you job seekers allowance. I went to go get that. They gave me
Seekers allowance.
That's what it is. Job to pay for petrol and whatever.
So
Yeah.
you have to prove like, hey, this is where I went to look for a job.
Yes. Yes.
And just
But I did.
hand out
Yeah.
money for free. Like, hey, here, everybody gets money. We appreciate our subscribers. Thanks for stopping by. Thank you for watching, folks. Visit us at HARDINTENTIONS.com. Whatever you do, remember, do it hard.